What's up guys, Aaron Bennett here. In this video, big updates from Celsius talking about exclusivity, a plan versus liquidation, insider clawbacks, retail clawbacks, updates with custody, with mining, and also the latest update, what the judge said about Series B. So the first, just to get it out of the way, the judge did extend exclusivity until March 31st, so that gives them a little while until they can get the disclosure statement with NovaWulf, and Martin Glenn, the judge, signed off on this. And this is of no surprise, I expected this to happen. And I want to talk about people saying we should just go into liquidations. Well, if we do that, most likely everybody will get clawed back, every single person, even if you withdrew less than $100,000. So if you are in the camp of retail clawbacks being not something you want to experience, then just pushing for a liquidation is most likely going to result in a worse outcome for you. So I just wanted to get that out of the way as well before I get started with this video. So regarding insider clawbacks, I believe that there is going to be a lot more than the 8 or so people that were mentioned inside of the document, I believe from the UCC. I think there will be a lot more. And this is something that the litigation trust would be pursuing. This is just something that I've heard people talk about. Why are there only 8 or so people that are being pursued for insider clawbacks? I think there will be a lot more. And regarding insider clawbacks, Kirkland and Ellis said yesterday in the hearing that they will not be protecting their clients like Alex and the other insiders if there are insider clawbacks being pursued. Essentially, Kirkland is saying that we are on the side of the creditors to get them back as much money as possible, and we will not be protecting the insiders. So before I dive into the update about retail clawbacks from the judge in yesterday's hearing, I first want to bring you to this story right here from the UCC, saying that the NovaWulf bid has a broad fiduciary out to let the UCC determine if there are superior bids and to let the UCC engage with other bidders. If there is a higher or better bid, the NovaWulf bid can be terminated. The UCC is already using that fiduciary flexibility, and earlier this week, they met with an alternative bidder. That bid is not better than NovaWulf at this time, but we will continue to explore if it can be developed into a superior bid in the near future. So this goes back to what they called a stalking horse bid, and NovaWulf is just the first bidder, and there will be more bidders that will be looked at. The downside, in my opinion, is that we, the average Joe, will not know who they are talking to, and we won't know the other bids. So there is some trust that the UCC is going to pick what's best for us. Personally, not a big fan of blind trust, especially with what happened to all of us inside of Celsius, but that is what it is. And whatever plan that is confirmed, it must be proven in the disclosure statement, I believe, that creditors will receive a higher percent back than if they did a Chapter 7 liquidation. And this is what's called a liquidation analysis. So we will see this liquidation analysis if the NovaWulf bid does go through, and that should be in the disclosure statement. So we will be able to see if this NovaWulf plan will be better than just liquidating everybody. But again, if you fall into the retail clawback category, a Chapter 7 liquidation is probably not what we want. If that were to happen, possibly all of our crypto would be clawed back into the estate, versus right now, as it stands, if you're in that $100,000 to $250,000 range, you would pay back, I guess, 27.5% if you don't want to be clawed back. Or if you withdrew less than 100 grand, they would not come after you if you voted yes for the plan. So it's kind of confusing, but I'll keep you guys up to date as things come out. So more on retail clawbacks. Yesterday in court, the judge basically said he complies with the law, but he did mention that the defenses for retail clawbacks, when they come before him, he will rule on them. So he isn't saying that he is in favor or not in favor of clawbacks. He is saying that he abides by the law, and when the defenses come out or when they are brought before him, he will then rule on them. And if you want to hear what Deb has to say, the lawyer representing people in the retail clawback category, you can hear her on the CTO Larson show and also on Digital Asset News. She was on both of their shows this last week. So ultimately, the judge is neutral on clawbacks, and he will again just look at the defenses when they come. And he also says, don't blame these estate fiduciaries for trying to get as much money back into the estate as possible. That's literally their job. So I do kind of agree that the judge isn't necessarily pro or against. He is just very, very by the book. More about retail clawbacks, especially if you are international. So certain jurisdictions make it incredibly hard to impossible for U.S. courts to enforce something like a clawback. So, for example, if you live in China or Germany, these were examples given by David Adler. I believe it's incredibly difficult for a U.S. court to go after your money. So this is inherently unfair, and we may see possibly different categories for preference claims for retail clawbacks, essentially. You have a group in the US and then you have international groups, and there may be different terms for those groups. But again, as this progresses, if that happens, I will let you know. And also regarding retail clawbacks, Crypto YOLO on Twitter says that Judge Glenn follows the law and only rules on things at the appropriate time. When safe harbor, ordinary business, ordinary terms come before him, he will rule on them in accordance with his interpretation of the law. Then it will get appealed either way. So again, like I said earlier, Judge Glenn is neutral. He is just following the law when it comes to retail clawbacks. So Chris Ferraro talked about mining in the hearing yesterday. From Simon Dixon, he says they're currently mining 9 Bitcoin a day. Of the 17,000 mining rigs they had to move, they've redeployed 7,000 of them as of late February. But what is still frustrating and has been frustrating for months is we still do not know exactly the cash flow and balance sheet and all the numbers regarding mining to know just how exactly profitable or unprofitable it is. And here we have Keith diving into the numbers regarding mining. He says, and this may or may not be true, that Celsius is playing games by claiming depreciation expenses, while potentially these are expenses they are trying to underwrite to allow them to claim a profit. Digging into the numbers, he estimates that Celsius has actually had only 2 months of potential positive gross margin. And Keith analyzes quite a bit more regarding the mining. I'll include his thread below, but this does lead me to what I want to talk about later in this video that Judge Glenn ruled on regarding Series B and what that means for us actually having access or ownership of the mining. And really quick about custody withdrawals. Those who are eligible have been getting emails, and many people have been withdrawing some of their custody funds from Celsius. So if that is you, big congrats to you. Get that money off of centralized exchanges and put it on a hardware wallet. There is a Ledger affiliate link below. If you do not already have a hardware wallet, I do get a little commission for that, but this is a good time to plug my affiliate link. And also we had David Adler on behalf of the borrowers doing this very long complaint for declaratory judgment. And ultimately, or one of the things he is wanting for and saying is through this complaint, the ad hoc group for the borrowers seeks the judgment declaring that the collateral is not property of the state and it should be returned to the borrowers. So if you have loans, I would highly suggest you join the Telegram group and find Celsius Loans on Twitter so you can keep up to date with what is happening with loans. And last thing regarding loans, Tony V says the Truth in Lending Act also makes it illegal to not allow someone to prepay a loan and put stringent limitations on the prepayment penalties that can be applied. So a lot of this is talking about the current plan with NovaWulf. There is no way for borrowers to prepay their loan and get out of their loan, and it has to go all the way to 5 years. And my guess is some of the negotiations that David Adler is doing with NovaWulf and the UCC and the debtors is how can people get out of this 5-year commitment for the loan? And a lot of what David Adler said here and laid out in extensive detail goes over reasons why they should be able to get out of their loan, and also claims Celsius was doing all sorts of illegal things, which at this point we know. So now let's talk about what came out today regarding the preferred equity holders. So this is actually pretty big news. Earlier today, Judge Glenn disagreed with the UCC and Celsius and agreed with the preferred equity holders, seeing that we, the unsecured creditors, do not have claims at every debtor entity. The UCC disagrees with this ruling and is disappointed by the outcome, but it isn't the end of the road, and the UCC is considering its options to ensure customers receive maximum value from Celsius. Now, this is something that the UCC and the debtors, meaning Kirkland and Ellis, have agreed upon, that the preferred equity does not get access to the mining, and that we, the unsecured creditors, have claims against all of the debtor entities. So Judge Glenn released a 38-page report talking about how he came to that decision. The account on Twitter, Celsians, said that Judge Glenn just filed a memorandum opinion stating that creditors do not own the affiliate companies of Celsius. Translation, Celsians might not get a cent of the mining business. And this is a quote from Judge Glenn. He says, in short, while the Series B preferred holders prevail here, they may very well end up recovering nothing, which I find very interesting. Nevertheless, the court appreciates that this decision may deprive customers of the full value of the company, but the court's obligation is to interpret the contract and evidence before it, and the evidence commands the court to accept the Series B preferred holders' argument that only the LLC is liable to customers on contract claims. And Rupi over on Twitter says, please hold a town hall talking to the UCC and let the creditors know the consequences of the judge's opinion on the Series B issue. Will the plan with NovaWulf continue, or will the Series B get some equity share tokens in the NewCo? So why people are frustrated at this, for good reason, is that Celsius took our money and invested into mining, and that may not come back to us. So this is actually a pretty big declaration. Mining, again, is an illiquid asset. So Celsius right now still holds, like 40 to 45%, I believe, of our liquid crypto, maybe a little bit more. But if this goes through, this would greatly affect the profitability of a NewCo and getting revenue from these illiquid assets, this one being mining. So I will keep you guys updated with everything going on, like I have been for a long time now, since the very beginning. It's not time to get pissed off or angry or do something rash. There are still a lot that can be changed regarding the NewCo, regarding NovaWulf. We may not even go with NovaWulf and maybe another bidder. There's a lot that can happen. The UCC and Kirkland may be able to fight what the judge is saying here. We don't really know what's going to happen, and the judge says that they, meaning Series B, may very well end up recovering nothing, which I am curious to hear a little bit more about what he meant by that. So guys, that is it for the video. News is news. Some of it's good, some of it's bad, but ultimately this is just taking a long time. So if you need to take a break from all this stuff, I encourage you to do so. Your mental health is more important than watching my videos. I try to make them as concise as possible and just give you guys the news as quickly as I can. But if it is weighing on you, then you just need to take a break. And I really encourage you to do so. Come back in a week, come back in a month when you are a little bit clear-headed. And if anything serious happens, you will know. Meaning if there is any vote or if there is anything that you need to do, you will be emailed by Celsius. You will not accidentally miss something incredibly important. So again, I just want to encourage you, even though I'm telling you not to watch my videos, and that's how I get paid on YouTube. If that is affecting your mental health, it's time to take a break and just take a step back. So guys, that is it for the video. Thanks for watching. Till next time, talk with you soon, and bye for now.